Thank you for tuning in. So my name is Kate. I'm the host of today's webinar. From our last webinar, we actually understand a lot of you want to know more about nutrition and dietitian related to cholesterol management. So today is really our great pleasure to welcome our guest speaker, Miss Ginny, who is a wellness expert with 15 years of experience. And she's also a well-trained and certified nutrition. So she today will share her valuable insights and tips about what you should care, what you should take note about nutrition in terms of your cholesterol management. Thank you so much, and over to you, Ginny.
All right, let's get started. So yes, like what has been introduced today, we're going to talk about what really affect your cholesterol. So what exactly affect your cholesterol? Usually when we have clients who have high cholesterol, usually when they are concerned, diet is the first thing that they look at, right? So that's very common. But are there myths? But what are myths and what are the facts? Let's discuss some of this, right? So I can't quite see you on screen since or facing my presentation slide. So if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. We will try to answer your questions towards the end. All right, so let's get started. Okay, right. So this is a bit about myself. I did a diploma in diet nutrition and of course a few certificates with Republic Polytechnic as well. They have a School of Applied Science which learn a lot about nutrition. Of course, I'm also a certified personal trainer and yoga teacher with about 15 years of experience. So we are trying to look at holistic health here. Okay, and then let's just have the very basic of what is cholesterol. Cholesterol is really a soft, waxy substance that found in every cell in our body. So it's an essential nutrient in our body actually. It's so important that our body would need to produce it for ourselves, right? That's why 80% of cholesterol is made in the liver and 20% is from the food that we eat. And if you can see, 25 of the cholesterol in our body is actually found in our brain. So that shows how important it is. Without this waxy substance, we won't be able to live properly, right? So that is cholesterol. But what is the problem? Usually when we talk about cholesterol, we are more concerned with our cholesterol level in our blood. And that usually is measured through HDL, LDL, total cholesterol. Of course, there's also other non-HDL and triglyceride. So these are all the different substances of cholesterol. Like, in the cholesterol panel, these are all the different ones. So what is good and what is bad? So if our cholesterol level is balanced, there should be, as what you can see in this slide, right? They just have a balanced number of good and bad cholesterol. It just flow nicely in the blood vessel. But when we have more LDL and higher triglyceride, the issue with LDL is that it tends to drop when it travels around our blood vessel. We know that our blood vessel is how much, right? It can really round the globes. We have such a huge highway of blood vessels. And if there's a lot of LDL, which is the low density lipoprotein that's traveling in our blood vessel, they tend to drop a lot of things along the blood vessel, along here, right? And if there's any inflammation, it could cause atherosclerosis to our blood vessels. So that might harm our blood vessels. So that's the main thing that we are concerned about for cholesterol. It's not because, LDL is high, it's flowing in the blood that's giving us any issue, but it can cause inflammation, it can cause a lot of accumulations and might lead to stroke, heart attack, etc. So cardiovascular disease is the real risk that we are concerned with when we talk about cholesterol. Okay, so let's move on to the myth and facts of different cholesterol. Okay, so let's go. What are some of the myths and facts? Number one, usually I get these questions. For example, if I'm on a vegan diet, right? Does it mean that it will bring down my cholesterol or it could prevent high cholesterol? So vegan diet, yes, they are naturally cholesterol-free. Cholesterol in our food generally only have it in animal-based food. They don't have it. So if we don't consume, we'll say that 20% of the cholesterol is actually coming from our food, right? Mainly animal products. So yes, if we don't consume any animal product, like in a vegan diet, our probability of developing high cholesterol should come down as well. But vegan could possibly also develop high cholesterol because of different other reasons, for example, genetic, for example, high intake of saturated fat. Yes, plant-based food does contain saturated fat, and saturated fat does lead to higher cholesterol in our body. Or it could be an overall unhealthy lifestyle. For example, smoking under a lot of stress, alcohol, lack of sleep. People who are on certain medication might have the risk of higher LDL as well. So diet is just one area. Yes, it's an important area, but vegan diet is not just the answer to all the questions. All right. So yes, as you can see here, if you're on vegan diet, if you're on a lot of vegetables, real, fresh, whole food vegan diet, it can improve our gut health, especially with enough fiber, right? It can lower our cholesterol level, reduce the risk of heart disease, and protect us from many cancers as well. As we know, plants is actually also strong antioxidant. Yeah, it also lower the risk of type 2 diabetes because fiber generally helps to cushion off the absorptions of sugar so it doesn't spike our blood sugar so high. So if you're interested to learn more about diabetes or how to control blood sugar, please put it in the chat or in our feedback form so that we can run upcoming events or webinar addressing blood sugar as well. All right, so let's move on. But you see, on your left, this is healthy vegan nutrition, but this is unhealthy vegan diet. So vegan can be very unhealthy as well. If you go for vegan ice cream, for example, candy, chips, a lot of mock meat, for example, which is actually made of a lot of flour, a lot of gluten, or even mock cheese, right, that we see in some of the vegan diet, that is not going to help with our cholesterol health. Okay, so this is number one. Vegan itself is not the answer. How about gluten-free? So the next one that I get, the next questions that I sometimes get would be how about go gluten-free? So whenever clients have issues with digestions, for example, gluten-free is a question that a lot of people ask because that is the usual culprit that cause many digestive issue. But if you really look into the research, gluten-free diet is really suitable more for people with celiac disease. What is celiac disease? Celiac disease is an autoimmune disorder, meaning the intestine is not able to digest gluten. That's why it's causing a lot of issues like indigestions, bloatedness, discomfort, pain, etc. And for the diagnosed celiac patients, the minute they reduce the gluten food or they cut the gluten food, they will see a big improvement in their health almost immediately in terms of their digestions. So if you have tried gluten-free and you don't really feel the difference, then maybe gluten is not the answer. Especially, it might not the answer to bring down cholesterol health. So what are gluten? Mainly wheat. Okay, rye, barley, these are all gluten food. Okay, so for people who avoid gluten or on a gluten-free diet, they would usually have to avoid things like bread, pasta, okay, waffle, of course, beer, stouts. These are all made of wheat. Okay, then cookies, crackers, and all that as well. Of course, there are a lot of gluten-free options that you can find in the market, right? But as you can see here, on the left is a gluten-free diet, which is really good, made of a lot of fruits and vegetables, high protein, food with good protein, and also gluten-free grain. Okay, so you can do brown rice, you can do wheat-free pasta, gluten-free pasta, etc. Okay, so this is good. But on your right, this is also gluten-free diet. Okay, it could consist a lot of meat. Meat is gluten-free, it's a lot of rice, for example, right? A lot of processed food. So this could also be gluten-free. So as you can see from this slide, gluten-free is also not the magic bullet or not the answer for cholesterol health. Okay, so let's move on. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat, right? Or we can discuss later. Okay, so number 3, red meat, eggs, and seafood lead to high cholesterol. This is another very common question. Red meat. Yes, especially fatty meat or processed red meat can bring up our cholesterol level. So that is true, that's partly true. That's why for many clients, we recommend you just take 2 times of red meat a week. Try not to take red meat every day. So I do consultation for clients to plan their diet actually. So if you have any specific questions, you can also reach out to me so that we can have a sessions to discuss your nutrition and how to improve, right? So usually we recommend you just take 2 times of red meat a week. Try not to take red meat on a day-to-day basis. So red meat will include beef, pork, and mutton. All right. So when it comes to protein, when it comes to meat, no leg is better than 2 legs, 2 legs better than 4 legs, right? That means fish, seafood here, fatty fish are especially good. So go for fish as your best choice, as your usual choice, and then poultry. Then only we go for red meat. Okay, so that is that. And how about eggs? Eggs is another very common one because somehow some medical practitioner actually advise that if you have high cholesterol, you shouldn't be eating egg. You should only eat egg like 2 eggs a week or etc. But moderate consumption is generally good for everybody. It's safe for most people unless you have a very strong genetic predisposition, right? You don't really have to limit your intake. Generally, we recommend 2 eggs a day is okay, as long as you don't subject it to deep fry, right? Just go for hard boiled, soft boiled egg or steamed egg. That's good. Okay, especially the egg yolk. Yes, egg yolk contain cholesterol. We all know that egg yolk is high in cholesterol, but it also contains a lot of vitamins and minerals, especially this content called choline, CHOLIN or choline. It actually helps to bring down cholesterol, right? So more and more recent research is actually telling us that consumption of egg has got nothing to do with or very little relationship with our blood cholesterol level, right? So if you are eating on a moderate basis, don't really have to worry about it. Okay, so that's the third myth. And the fourth one on cholesterol control. So we do have clients on cholesterol control. I'm taking medication to control their cholesterol. So usually when we do consultation, they'll tell me, Ginny, my cholesterol number is good. So okay, cholesterol number is good. We'll look at the other things. And then slowly when we talk on any medication and all that, then they start to tell me that, oh yes, I'm on cholesterol medication for the last 2 years, 3 years, for example. If we are using cholesterol just to control cholesterol medication, just to control our cholesterol level and keep it at a good level, is it good enough? That is the question. Does it mean that if the drugs is working well, we can still eat whatever we want? Right? So the most common cholesterol medication is actually statin. It reduces the liver's production of cholesterol. It actually blocks some of these receptors so that the body bring down the production of cholesterol and also remove the LDL from the blood, from our bloodstream, right? But using that to me is a temporary measure. We still have to look at our diet, our nutrition, lifestyle in order to really reverse this situation. And if you ask me, is it possible to bring down cholesterol level through natural diet, nutrition, and lifestyle? Of course, it's a yes. We have so many cases. I've worked with so many clients who can actually bring down their cholesterol, and eventually the doctor actually release them off cholesterol medication, right? Is doable for sure. as long as we put in the effort to understand, to learn, and to practice it in our day-to-day life. So what do we need to do, right? So that comes to the second part of the webinar, which is the important one. How do we earn our optimal health? We believe that health needs to be earned and not just take it for granted. And the 4 pillars of health are EARN. Number 1, exercise. Health Promotion Board recommend 150 to 300 minutes of exercise every week. That is equivalent to about 30 minutes of vigorous exercise or 60 minutes of moderate intensity exercise 5 days a week. You don't have to exercise every day. There are still 2 rest days, but we do need to put in some exercise. And research after research are telling us that exercise does have an impact to bring down the bad cholesterol and bring up good cholesterol, especially cardio exercise, right? So put some cardio exercise into your day-to-day life. Even if you can't, when you go to the MRT station, try to walk up the steps, try to walk a bit faster to bring up your heart rate up. All this will help. And you don't have to do that 1 hour continuously. You can do it, just break it down by 20 minutes block in the morning, maybe when you walk to work, lunchtime, go for a brisk walk 20 minutes after lunch, and walk back after work. So that can all be incorporated. But movement or exercise is important. It helps with our blood circulation, metabolism, and it helps to bring down the bad cholesterol. That is really, really important. And A is attitude, positive attitude as well, because stress will affect our cholesterol level. And of course, we already also know that stress affects our blood pressure as well. So cholesterol plus blood pressure doesn't work very well together, right? It's a proven recipe for cardiovascular disease. So manage our stress is important. Maybe you can share in the chat, what do you do to manage your stress? Is it through listening to music? Go for a stroll, go for a walk in the park without the handphone. Or, for me, I do exercise. I do yoga. At least 3 times a week, I'll have my yoga flow. I'll be just focusing on my body, on my mind, and forget about, all the other things that could stress us out, right? So find a way to de-stress for yourself. And that is also very important. Not to mention, it affects our physical health. Stress affects our sleep as well. So the next thing that we look at is rest. How many of you are parents here? So parents, we are very good at nagging our kids, ask them to go and sleep early. But we forgot that we need to sleep as well. Yeah, when my girl was younger, I always, only have my own life after she's asleep, right? But now I think we realize that the rest is so important. And we adults, we need to aim for 7 hours of rest every night. So then the question will ask, can I do 4-5 hours on weekday and then just catch up on weekends? Unfortunately, the research doesn't quite show that you can catch up or you can make up for the sleep. So still aim for 6 to 7 hours. I had my close to 7 hours sleep last night, so that's good, right? So aim for that on a day-to-day basis. That will help us long term, okay, in terms of our overall health. And of course, the last one is nutrition. We are what we eat, after all. What our mom told us many years ago is still true. So the next part of this webinar, we're going to talk about nutrition. How shall we eat? What can we change in our diet, right? In order to manage our cholesterol level. First, for prevention. So especially for ladies, we see that many of the ladies, when they are young, our cholesterol are usually good. We see the big jump in cholesterol level during menopause or after menopause. Can really see that the cholesterol just shoot up like that for ladies. So for 20 to 40 years old, men has got a higher prevalence, more percentage of men with high cholesterol. But after 40, after 50 is a different story, right? Women's numbers actually catch up very quickly with men. So it's what we need to take care of. All right. So in order to manage our cholesterol, these are the food to avoid. Food that's high in trans fats. So what are trans fats? Trans fats are actually things that are not existent in nature. You don't have any fruits, any vegetables that contain trans fats. Trans fat is actually man-made. So basically, it's similar to hydrogenated vegetable oil. Is vegetable oil, okay, vegetable oil are usually liquid form in room temperature, but it's difficult to store and difficult to transport. So in order for it to be easier to store up and to transport, the manufacturer actually put in a hydrogen molecule, inject in hydrogen molecule into vegetable oil to make it harden, to harden it. And it can be used to make many, many delicious food. So all the food that you see in the supermarket that is very crispy, crunchy, and is very nice, can keep for very long. After very long, it's still very crispy and very nice. Likely it contains trans fat. Because that's the purpose of having hydrogenated vegetable oil, to make the food not just tasty, it's a cheap alternative to butter, but it also can last longer, ease of transport, and still maintain the crispiness. All right. So these are the food that we want to minimize, we want to avoid, and deep fried food as well. Okay. So cholesterol, trans fats will actually bring up our body cholesterol level. This one is already proven, especially deep fried food. If you eat out, these are the oil that the vendor actually use it over and over again. Right? So we want to avoid that. And animal saturated fat, why we say that no leg is better than two legs better than four legs, because for poultry, for example, chicken, duck, we can remove the skin quite easily. That are the saturated fat. We can remove it quite easily when we cook, or even after we cook, when we eat, we can just remove and eat the meat, the protein that we need. But for red meat, the pork, the mutton, and beef, the fats and the protein are usually more intertwined. As you can see, the 三层肉 here, right? It's hard to get rid of the saturated fat. Okay, so if you cook, for example, if you cook curry, or if you cook just, for example, braised chicken or meat, what you can do if you want to get rid of the fats is you can actually put it in the fridge first, and you can see that the white layer on top of it, these are all saturated fat, and you can get rid of the layer on top, reheat it, and take the food, if you cook it yourself, of course. Right? Of course, if we eat out, it's more difficult, so we need to choose when we order our food outside. Try to go for fish. Fatty fish would be your top choice. Try to have it 3 times a week. Red meat, maybe limit it to 2 times a week. Even deep fried food as well, you might just want to limit your intake. And the next thing that a lot of people might not realize is glucose, is high fructose corn syrup. So what is high fructose corn syrup? It's a processed sugar actually made of corn. And the sweet level, the sugary level is actually very, very high. And because it's cheap, we see it in many of the processed food. For example, bubble tea. You see that the girl, the 小姐姐 selling the bubble tea always will have that 1 pack, 2 pack of the clear color liquid. That is our high fructose corn syrup. And what happened when we take this? Number one, it's fully processed, right? It's not something natural. When it goes into our body, our liver will have to quickly get rid of it because it's very high in sugar. Liver is responsible for sugar metabolism. And with that, the metabolism, it can cause the liver to be very busy producing or getting rid of this sugar, and it can cause fat accumulation in the liver, or any excess of this high fructose corn syrup will be converted into fats and stored in the liver. With that, when we have developed slowly into fatty liver, I'm sure you heard of this, the body tend to produce more triglyceride. And with higher triglyceride, it can bring up our LDL as well. So if you look at your blood test report, if you see someone with high triglyceride, usually it's not because of the fatty food that they eat. It's not because of this. It's because of high carbo and high sugar. most of the time, because high sugar and high sugar and carbohydrate cause high triglyceride, right? So not just fats is affecting it, but sugar consumption as well. So research shows that if you take consumed beverage, for example, 10%, 17.5%, and 25% of sugar, right? This is a research done in just 2 weeks' time. The higher the sugar content, from 10, 17.5 to 25, the higher the LDL is going to shoot up in just 2 weeks. You would see that how it affects our body already, right? So bubble tea, things like that can just be an occasional treat. It shouldn't be your day-to-day part of your day-to-day diet, of course. Okay, and the higher the sugar intake we take is positively correlated to the risk of cardiovascular mortality as well, meaning death due to heart attack, stroke, and other cardiovascular disease. So sugar does play a big part in cholesterol health as well. All right, so that's the food that we need to avoid. So what are the food that we should be eating more, right? Is there any superfood? Is there any magic bullet that I just have to take this and I'll be good? Unfortunately, again, no. Again, I need to be very responsible to share with you that you need a portfolio diet, just like anything else in life, just like your investment, right? You cannot just be investing in shares, put every eggs in the same basket and expect that to work for you. Just like our diet, you also need a portfolio. You need not just one magic bullet or a superfood, but we need to have a variety of different food. That will include things like plant-based protein. Plant-based protein is very important in the portfolio diet, meaning soy, legumes, nuts. Take a lot more of that. I think this is the thing that we don't eat enough as Asian living in Singapore especially. It's not exactly natural in our day-to-day diet, plant-based protein. We need a lot of soluble fiber as well, which you can find in the oats, barley, fruits, and vegetables. We need plant sterols. Again, plant sterols is also in plants. Let me share with you more about plant sterols. So this portfolio diet is proven to be able to bring down the bad cholesterol and increase the good cholesterol. Okay, so the first thing that we want to focus on is actually plant sterol. What is plant sterols and plant stanols? So if you go online to search, you will see that these two words, sterol and stanols. What are they? They are actually fatty molecules. They look very similar to the cholesterol, but they are produced by the plants. They are the plant-based cholesterol. They found in plants like vegetables, fruits, wheat germ, whole grains, beans, sunflower seed. And what does it do, right? It has also got a very similar structure than our cholesterol. So when we take food with cholesterol, when the liver produces cholesterol, it goes into our intestine, right? Go into our intestine, and then we also eat the plant sterol. So they are of the same similar molecule, and they take up the space for the receptor in the intestine. So cholesterol is actually absorbed into our bloodstream through our intestine. So if we have a lot of plant sterol fighting for the same receptor to get into our bloodstream, so more plant cholesterol can get in and less cholesterol can actually get into our bloodstream. So it prevents cholesterol from being absorbed into the bloodstream. Okay, and of course, the unabsorbed cholesterol in the intestine will just be excreted out from the body. Okay, and that lower our overall LDL level. So this is how the plant sterol work, and research has shown that it can work as well as some of the medication to bring down blood cholesterol level. So eating 2 grams of plant sterols per day can reduce LDL by 5 to 10%, which is a big number, which is a lot. 5 to 10% is already a very good number to reduce, because not even some of the, some medication is also only doing this about the same efficacy. So it's definitely more worthwhile putting in more legumes into your diet, more beans, more seeds into the diet. It's a more natural way of bringing down LDL. Okay, so there's plant sterol and plant stenol. The next one that we want to increase is fiber. 30 grams of fiber is actually what our body require on a day-to-day basis. Unfortunately, in Singapore, on average, we are only eating about 13 to 15 grams of fiber every day, regardless of race, regardless of gender. And that is because we tend to eat out very often, right? Many clients tell me that they eat out easily 2 times a day, 10 times a week. And when we eat out, usually it's very hard to avoid the highly processed food. And highly processed food generally is very low or even zero in fiber. For example, white rice. White rice is such a common diet that people eat every day, but it's very little or almost no fiber that is there. Even brown rice, as you can see here, 100 grams of brown rice only contain 1.8 grams of fiber. How do we get 30 grams a day? We really need to increase a lot in terms of our beans, our nuts, our fruits, and vegetables. Okay, so one medium apple is about 5 grams of fiber, but you got to take it with the skin, right? Because most of the fiber are actually in the skin. Once you take out the skin, half the fiber is gone. Okay, so why is fiber so important? Why is fiber important? When it goes into our body, the fiber actually bind with the bile acids in our intestine. So our liver produce bile juice, and bile acid is actually binded with fiber. And with binding the fiber, it it actually deter or prevent the absorption of bile. Right? So when bile is less absorbed in the body will have to produce more bile juice, which is made of cholesterol. The body will need to make use of the cholesterol to produce bile juice, which can bring down our cholesterol level. And fiber also slow down the absorption of cholesterol in the intestine. Of course, it also slow down the absorption of sugar. So if you want to talk about sugar health, fiber also plays a very important part because it can sort of line up your digestive tract. It slow down the absorptions of the cholesterol as well as sugar. And we know that many of the fiber, they are called insoluble fiber, our body actually cannot break down. Our, our digestive system cannot break down, and it will end up in the gut. And what happened? Gut is our large intestine. It will become the food for our little friends. Who are our little friends? The microbiota. We have trillions of microbiota living in our gut, in our large intestine, and fiber is actually the happy food. They actually make use of this insoluble fiber that we cannot digest, or many other things that we cannot digest, and it gets fermented by this gut bacteria. And this bacteria will produce good stuff, the short chain fatty acid, which is important for our health, which further inhibit the production of cholesterol, right? So fiber is very important. If there is one thing that you need to take back from this webinar is that increase our fiber intake, right? Switch from white rice to brown rice. You can do some oatmeals, a lot of beans, legumes, nuts, and vegetables. Try to have a lot of vegetables as well in the diet. So let's talk about this gut microbiome. So this is one of the latest research into science and into nutritional science, actually, the microbiome science. More and more, we know that the microbiota is not just helping us to digest our food. It's not just, to produce gas and to help us to break down our food, but it is affecting our liver health especially. There's this hepatic veins that is linked directly from our large intestine to our liver. So every 2-3 minutes, they will actually pull all the absorb all the things from our large intestine and going into our liver for a secondary detoxification. So our liver is actually working very hard if we have issues like constipation, for example. A lot of toxin, a lot of things that we're supposed to get rid of, we need our liver to work extra hard to get rid of it, right? So when we say that we want to take good care of our gut microbiome, meaning we want to try to have all the good bacteria in our gut so that it can help us to do these four things. Number one is bile acid metabolism. The good gut bacteria actually convert your primary bile juice or bile acid into secondary bile acid. Okay, so it can reduce the cholesterol level in our blood vessel. It can reduce our overall cholesterol by doing the bile acid metabolism. And these are microorganisms, right? The gut bacteria, they are actually live bacteria. So they eat the fiber that we cannot absorb, and they also produce a lot of byproducts. That produce is called short chain fatty acid, SCFA. So more and more we realize that this short chain fatty acid, for example, the acetate, butyrate, propionate, all this helps to manage our metabolism, helps to increase our metabolism actually, right? And it lower the cholesterol synthesis in our liver as well. It directly affect the cholesterol synthesis in the liver. So that actually means that it brings down our fat storage factory if we have enough short chain fatty acid, especially the propionate. And it regulates lipid metabolism. It helps the liver to absorb and also metabolize the fat better, making use of the fats. So if it's imbalanced, if our gut is imbalanced, it will have improper metabolism. It could bring up our LDL and lower our good cholesterol. Okay, and influence on inflammation is also true. Most of our immunity cells is in our gut. And the good gut microbiota can also influence our body's inflammation. So if we have a lot more inflammation, it brings up the level of bad cholesterol. Not just that, we know that when plaque build on our blood vessel, it can also caused by inflammation. There's a lot of inflammation in the body. It's like small fire, firing up in different parts of our body, and it can cause accumulations of the plaque in our blood vessels. And that can, of course, increase the risk of cardiovascular disease. So if this could be one new area in the research, and of course, more and more research is needed to prove the cause and effect of this. But we are already seeing very close relationship, a healthy gut with a healthy cholesterol level and healthy liver. Right? So for people with high cholesterol, it's not just about your diet. You need to take care of the liver health, and gut health is also very, very important. Okay, so what can you do, right? Let's increase fermented food. So fermented food are the food with good bacteria, the gut microbiota. So for example, when I talk to our Korean friend, they tend to eat a lot of kimchi. Japanese friends will have their miso. Some of my Indian friends, they make ghee as well. They have their own lassi drink. These are all probiotic. Okay, of course, sauerkraut, cheese, all these are good bacteria that we can ingest into our body. Unfortunately, for Singapore Chinese friends whom I talk to, usually when we talk about probiotic, I only get a brand name. I don't really get, any natural food that contain probiotic, but just a brand name with a lot of sugar, flavor, and color, right? So try to take more good probiotic into your body. You can do kombucha, water kefir, can learn how to make that and have that every day. A lot of vegetables, because fiber are the probiotic. These are the food for the good fiber are the prebiotic. These are the food for the good bacteria. So eat a lot of them, eat a variety of them, so that a variety of gut bacteria can flourish in our gut and they can work for us. Okay, and avoid, again, sweeteners, artificial sweeteners, and processed food. Why do we want to avoid processed food, including the processed meat, biscuits, a lot of things that you can last long and you can still eat them. Why? Because they tend to use chemical to stop the bacteria from growing, isn't it? Preservatives. All this food contain preservative. What is preservative? Preservative kill bacteria, kill viruses. And what are we talking about? Microbiome in our gut. They are the bacteria and viruses, the good ones that work for us. So if you take a lot of processed food, you tend to kill them as well. They are not able to flourish. They are not able to work well. At the end of the day, in our gut, we just have the imbalanced microbiota or only the bad ones. That's why we have issues like bloatedness, constipation, indigestions, diarrhea, etc., etc. All right. So have a good diet is important. Food type and portion is also important. I know that we all know this. Have fruits and vegetables, whole meal, and healthy protein. Okay, so let's practice this. Not just once in a while when we feel like it, but 3 meals a day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So this is some suggestions. For breakfast, oatmeal is a good breakfast. It's got soluble fiber. It's got a lot of soluble fiber, but it's mainly carbohydrate. So you still need protein. Where do you get your protein? You can put in almond. You can use a glass of soy milk that will give you some protein, and put in some fruits as well, because we know that it's not easy to eat vegetable for breakfast. At least we can have some low sugary food so that we can feed the good microbiome. Okay, the good bacteria needs food in the morning. And for snacks, can go for nuts, apple, carrot sticks with humus. This is because we want the protein. This is a good plant-based protein, and of course a lot of fiber as well. One apple is about 5 grams of fiber, right? A medium-sized apple. And then for lunch and dinner, I would strongly recommend a Mediterranean diet, a diet that you see colorful vegetables, not just the green, but the red, the purple, the orange, the white, the different colors. Try to put it in, right? Or when you eat salad, try not to just go for the green color ones, but have all the different colors and the different textures like this. Sweet potato is good, avocado, Brussels sprouts, nuts, and beans. Okay, if you like beetroot, it's also a very good vegetables, especially purple color is the color that we seldom take in our diet. Do that and try to have not just animal protein, but plant-based protein. Remember, for portfolio diet, plant-based protein is important. So I always have my soy protein, soy, wheat, and pea. My protein, my breakfast is always my soy, wheat, and pea protein, which is vegan, which is vegetarian, no sugar, no flavor, definitely no preservatives, right? So when you need to buy anything on the shelf, just take a look at the ingredients list. The shorter the ingredient list, the better it is. The more ingredients that you can read, you can pronounce, you know what is it, the better it is. If there's a lot of E followed with a number, these are all the food additives. And we know that over the long run, it's not going to be good for our health, right? And for grains, try to go for whole grains. You can do brown rice, quinoa, millet, even sweet potato, corns. These are all good alternatives for carbohydrate. Not necessarily have to eat white rice, white bread, noodle, or bihun. All right? So these are the things that we can do. And of course, portion control as well. Try not to overeat. For dessert, what's better than yogurt, right? You can do plant-based yogurt. Yes, yogurt made of plant, or go for Greek yogurt. Right? So for yogurt, it's very simple. If you don't make your own yogurt, just read the ingredient list. Make sure that you have more protein than sugar. Because most of the flavored yogurt that I really struggle is the sugar level is really very, very high. So it's something that we want to avoid. Sugar is not good for our health, and especially processed sugar bring up our cholesterol level as well. Okay, so in summary, control the 20%, right? 20-80 rule, I think. 80% of the time, let's try to eat healthy as we can, as much following the books as we can, and perhaps the balance time, you have your treat day over the weekend, for example, once a week, go out with friends, with family members, can enjoy the food that we like to make us happy as well. Okay, so a balanced diet is important. Try to increase sterol and stanols in your diet. Just doing this for 3 to 6 months, you'll be able to see your bad cholesterol coming down. Okay, and you may need to have an aggressive diet and lifestyle change. Because, for example, right now your weight is here, your cholesterol is here, you might just need to allocate your 3 to 6 months, for example, the next 3 months, you're just going to do a more aggressive way to manage, to bring down to normal level. Might be with the help of nutrition supplementation as well. I do have clients whom I introduce plant sterol and stanols supplements, right? So that in 2 months, they could really see that their cholesterol coming down and reverse the condition first. After that, maintenance will be easier. You don't have to be so hard on yourself for maintenance, right? And if you are already taking medication, statin medication, try to take it for the short term. Adjust your EARN. Could be your exercise, could be your stress, could be your rest, or more importantly, your nutrition, your diet. And you can work with nutrition coach, you can work with nutritionists to design your diet that you still feel reasonably happy, you can still live with it, still enjoy your food, and at the same time, improve your health. And with healthy diet, supplements, and lifestyle, you can maintain your cholesterol level. And keep going back to your doctor whenever you get back to your medical professional. Discuss with them what are the other things that you can do. What are the things that you can do to reduce your medication or to even stop your medication, right? You have to keep bringing up that topic so that your health professional, your doctor, know that you are in charge of your health. You want to be in charge of your health, right? You want to take charge, you want to make effort. And this is also in line with our healthier SG direction. We want to be healthier, just like Min Ong, right? Minister said that they are the Ministry of Health, not Ministry of Sickness. So this is what this webinar is trying to achieve as well, to share about diet and nutrition, to talk about prevention and management, rather than just go directly to medication for cure. All right, so that is all that I have. For my part, let me hand the session back to the host and keep your questions coming if you have any. All right.
Before we go for the Q&A section, I would like to spend a few quick minutes to explain what we have to offer, how can we help in terms of managing your cholesterol. As Ginny have shared so many good tips of how to lower your cholesterol, how to live healthier from diet to your gut microbiome. But we all wonder, like, how do we know we are getting better, right? How do we know that our cholesterol number is improving, our LDL is reducing, etc.? So we may feel that, what if we have a rapid test like glucometer that we can just test with our finger prick? So that would be so convenient. That'll be such a good indicator of whether we are doing better and what we are doing is indeed helping. So that is definitely the mission and vision of SG.Diagnostics. So we are here to bring you more products, more point of care tests that can help you to monitor and manage your different parameters at home. So today, aligned with the webinar theme, so we want to introduce you our cholesterol monitoring system that you can just do monitoring at home with a simple finger prick test. The result is less than 2 minutes, and the result contains the whole lipid profile, including your total cholesterol, HDL, triglyceride, and LDL. So this is currently the only lipid profile products available in the market. You can get it from Garden, Shopee, and various online channels. So if you want to see the device in power in real life, you can also join us in our roadshows together with Marigo, roadshows together with Minarini and other partners. We have also been actively participating in the healthcare screening, in the health screenings and community screenings. So before we go for the Q&A, you can follow us in our social media, in Instagram, Facebook, to stay tuned in our upcoming events and roadshows if you want to see the device in real life in power. And then when you type your Q&A questions, please also scan a QR code for our feedback form to provide us your valuable feedbacks and let us know what other topics and themes you would like us to cover in our future webinars. Yeah, so now I open the floor for Q&As. So please type your questions in our chat box and let Ginny know what other information you want her to address, what other questions you may have in relation to diet, to nutrition, and to any other areas related to your cholesterol management. In the meanwhile, actually, I'll return the floor back to Ginny, but we actually received a question during the webinar from Jessica on the cheese part. So maybe I'll just trouble Ginny to summarize why cheese is recommended to be avoided to manage cholesterol and to start the floor for Q&A session.
Yes, we talk about cheese. Okay. I think we are talking about vegan. Artificial. For vegan, they're actually artificial cheese and artificial meat. These are all the fake or mock meat and cheese. So these are mainly highly processed. So we try not to take all this highly processed food as much as we can. Yes. Okay, so natural cheese is okay. Natural cheese is okay because it's got the probiotic as well. It's got the good bacteria as well. It's fermented, right? We just want to take it in moderation because cheese is also usually high in fat and high in salt, actually sodium, right? So for people with hypertension, you just want to take it in moderation. I've got another question here to ask about keto diet. Does keto diet help to manage cholesterol? Okay, keto diet is a diet that focuses on fat. Okay, high fat intake, very low vegetables, very low fruits, almost, because we need to cut down the carbohydrate to a very low level and moderate protein. I don't think it's got a specific help in terms of cholesterol because especially in Singapore, for many people that I know who does keto diet, number one, it's very difficult to do a clean keto, meaning it's very hard to get plant-based fats. Or for example, even for butter, we want to go for grass-fed cow butter, which is the cleaner butter. Organic stuff is very difficult to get. So I see people ended up for keto diet eating bacon, eating chicken skin, a lot of coconut oil to increase the fat intake. I don't think number one is it does helps in the cholesterol management, and especially in the long term, it might even increase the risk of cardiovascular disease. So for people who want to do keto diet, it does help to bring down blood sugar. Some research shows that it helps to manage blood sugar, but you need to make sure that you have good supplementations of vitamins and minerals as well, because almost for sure for a keto diet, for someone on keto diet, you lack many of the essentials, vitamins and minerals, right? So if any of you has any specific questions that you'd like to ask, I can share with you my contact. You can give me a message. We can set up a Zoom call, a one-to-one, that I might be able to answer some of your questions, right? That you think that is a bit more private that you want to discuss separately. right? This is going to be a complimentary session as well. Since we have this opportunity to share with you, I also like to share with you more tips that you can do. But like what Kate said just now, it's important to keep track of your cholesterol numbers, cholesterol health. So do your regular check, at least you know where we stand. Okay, so Clarice say, yes, do something. Yes, what are the changes that you're going to do, Clarice? Do you want to share with us? Top 4 healthy hawker food. Okay, right. Yes, Alan, right? Hawker food is important because many of us love hawker food. Yes, sometimes when I look at a hawker, when I go to the hawker center, I do try to also see what are the good things that we could eat. You almost have to curate your own food. So to me, the easiest at a hawker center is also the economic rice, like it's the chai fan, right? The economic rice, because you can curate your own healthy plate, ma. If you can get brown rice, it would be good. If not, very little rice, 2 vegetables, this size, and chicken, right? A piece of chicken, and then if you can add tofu, beans, or legumes, it will be good. So that is one of the easiest. Hainanese chicken rice, yes. You can even take the skin. I think it's okay. But white chicken is healthier than black chicken or the roast chicken, right? So you can take the white chicken one. Skin is okay. You don't really, okay, maybe half the skin you want to remove off. Most of the fat for chicken rice is actually in the rice. Most of the calorie for chicken rice is also in the rice. So you can halve the rice or you can change it to white rice, halve it. Then you might want to add on the tauge, which is bean sprout, maybe a plate of bean sprout, a piece of tau kwa, egg to give you extra protein, and even vegetables. So sometimes they have the you cai, right? You can actually order another vegetables to make up the healthy plate. Yes. Grilled food is okay for cholesterol. Yes. Grill is good. It's better than deep fry for sure. So it depends on what you compare it to. If it's steam is better than grill, grill or air fry is also better than deep fry. Yes. Right? So if you can, right? I know some of you are leaving, it's 11:30 already, but do share with me one change that you're going to make in your diet. How do you increase the plant sterol or plant stanol especially, right? Would you start to buy almond, for example? Just next on almond, 10, 15 pieces of almond a day. That will already help to be part of your portfolio diet, right? To bring down your cholesterol. Any other points? Any other questions? What are the other hawker center food? I would go for, there are lei cha, thunder tea rice. Of course, it's an acquired taste. Some friends love it. Some can't really quite take the tea itself, but you can still take all the vegetables and the brown rice. You don't necessarily have to pour down the tea. All right. Also, if, for example, breakfast, right? If you go for the traditional Singapore breakfast is the bread and the egg. So usually what I'll order is that I'll order 2 sets of egg, but only 1 set of bread. Then I share it with my husband. Usually that's how we eat. So we lower the intake of the sugar, the fats, and the carbo, which is from the bread. So by the way, the bread, egg, and kopi teh, right? The most calories is coming from the bread, actually. Half of it is from the bread, especially the kaya and the butter, right? So if we can share half of that, the drinks go for siu tai or kosong, it's already half the battle won. Yong tau fu, yes, you have to choose the right one as well. So go for more vegetables. The good thing about Yong Tau Fu is that you can choose more veg. You can go for brown rice, bee hoon if there is. Go for the soup one. Even if you need to go for the dry Yong Tau Fu, please don't pour the sauce in. You just have the sauce separately and just dip it, right? So that we don't take in the excess sugar and the salt as well. Okay, any other suggestions? More egg white. Emmeline will ask if I can eat more egg white. Yes, egg white is good. It's got protein, and it's a protein with one digestibility, so it's easy for the body to digest. Yes, so some of you might want to take 2 full egg plus 2 egg white if you don't take so much of, for example, fish or chicken. But for me, my breakfast is always my protein shake. I do a plant-based protein shake which is made of soy, wheat, and pea. So these 3 ingredients, I put it with my vegetable blend. I blend a group of vegetables, usually at least 4 to 5 types. Kale, celery, cucumber, tomato, carrot, all these I'll blend. Blending means you retain all the fiber. Remember, the 30 grams of fiber is difficult. So I just blend them. I put in my protein powder. I shake and I drink. This is what I do. Lee Clinic asked about the notes. What exactly do you need? So when we talk about egg, right? Egg, okay, egg is the multivite. Okay, egg is one of the food with the most nutrition that you can get. One of the most nutritious natural food that you can get. It contains most of the vitamins and minerals except for vitamin C, right? It's got all the things that we need. Of course, it's going to grow into a live, right? Into a chicken. So it's got all the good nutrients. And all the nutrients, most of the vitamins and minerals is in the egg yolk. So you need to eat the egg yolk. Okay, so try to soft boil, hard boil, or steam them. Try not to use deep fry. Try not to deep fry. Okay, so that's the good thing about egg, and egg also contain very high choline, which can bring down cholesterol as well. Okay, so the admin say that we'll make the recording available online. So good, we can still come back and learn together. But if you have any specific questions, you can WhatsApp me, no problem. Okay, 2 glasses of milk with plant sterol. Yes, right. So plant sterol is what we want every day. So we want to have 2 grams of plant sterol in order to control our cholesterol. That helps. Yes, yes, Emmeline. Egg yolk is high in cholesterol. Yes, but no matter how much cholesterol we eat, right? Number one, our liver is still the main producer of cholesterol. So by right, if the liver is working well, if we eat more cholesterol, the liver could just produce less and we could still balance. That's why for clients with high cholesterol, we want to manage the liver. How to take care of the liver? Back to the same thing. Sorry, Ginny, snagging again. Sleep early, have enough sleep, exercise, de-stress, all this helps. Okay? But yes, while egg yolk is high in cholesterol, it's also got very, very high in choline. So egg yolk is also one of the best source of choline that helps to bring down cholesterol actually, right? So most research is already proven that taken in egg has got nothing to do with increasing your blood cholesterol. So don't worry about 1 to 2 eggs a day. Okay, fruit flavored yogurt. Again, read the ingredients. Most of the flavored yogurt all you get is sugar. You get more sugar than anything else. So very simple, when you choose yogurt, just make sure that you have more protein than sugar. The higher the protein, the lower the sugar, the better it is. Fat doesn't quite matter. It's okay to have some fat actually. All right. So yes, please submit the feedback form. If there are things that you like about this webinar, please put it in a form. If there are things that you don't like, please let me know. Okay, so that we can improve on it as well, and we can do better workshops to learn together with you. Right. Any other questions? If not, yeah. Rice cracker. Again, you need to look at the ingredients. Try to make sure that for the food that you take, it really depends on what is your objective. If you eat rice cracker versus, for example, fried chicken, I would say, yeah, I think rice cracker, quite sure that it's better for cholesterol compared to fried chicken. But if you compare rice cracker, it really need to need to know that you're eating for what's the purpose of you eating it and what's the objective, right? Then you read the label properly. Maybe we can do one seminar on how to read food label, right? That would be interesting, right? So we just want to read to make sure that it meets your purpose. And for most of the processed food that I choose, I want to make sure that number one, the ingredient list is as short as possible, meaning less additives, preservatives, color, flavor, and all that. And I also want to have more protein than sugar. Yes. Okay. Yes, back to you.
Thank you, Ginny. It's really such an interesting and exciting sessions, and thanks all for your questions. And I think the suggestion of having a session about reading the food label is really interesting. If you are interested, please let us know in the feedback form. We can definitely arrange on other topics related to cholesterol, related to your health, related to nutrition. We would love to discuss with you all more and understand better how we can help in terms of managing your health, managing your cholesterol, and also including maybe your diet for diabetes control and other disease control. So towards the end of the webinar, after the webinar, we will also send out our exclusive voucher to your email. So do check our email inbox and let us know if you need any further help and have any further questions. And if there's no more, it's really great to meet all of you and discuss with all of you. And thank you so much, Ginny, for your invaluable insights and for your valuable advice. Yeah, thank
Thank
you
you very
all.
much. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.